Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and this is my review of Love, Death Plus Robots, not and robots. I'm very anal retentive about checking the exact title of things before I type them. But this is going to be 4 episodes out of the like 16 in there. So Love, comma, Death plus sign robots is a little series on Netflix, and I heard about it a good amount, but I didn't hear about it in the way that I just know that it exists, but they didn't really tell you much more. Like, I knew it was sci-fi, I knew it was an anthology, but I didn't know anything more than that. Like, I didn't know it was all animated till I just peeked at it like yesterday when I put it on my watch list. So anyway, I usually hate anthologies, but I heard good things about this one. So I went to the old internet, Google, and so I said, best episodes, Love, Death, Robots. Oh my gosh, was that a friggin' mistake? Because, I used to do stuff like this a lot, back in the day. But then when the shill media just got more and more corrupt and more obsessed with like SJW politics, I was just like, you know what? This is why YouTube is popular. Because any dope with a Google Pixel 2 in his car can make a video. Not naming any names. So you kind of get, they shoot you straight for the most part. So I went to these listicles or whatever you call them. And oh my gosh, it was so ridiculous. It was nothing but progressive stack, intersectional identity politics nonsense. Like, you couldn't tell the plot or the level of quality or even the genre. It was literally just this one has too many white males, this one has a black female played by a black lesbian female, this one has this one, the one that was the best one that I saw out of the 4, which is called Suits. They go, it's problematic because it discusses the plight of Native Americans. What? So I was like, okay, so that's the last time I'll tell you what, just asking stuff and reading the comments is way better than going to any listicle, BuzzFeed, any of these nonsense, obsessive propagandas. So anyway, I just went through, the lists were not helpful. So literally I just went through the list of episodes with the teeny tiny thumbnail. I'm looking at this on my phone. Like, the thumbnail is literally the size of a thumbnail. And I know what I like. I like guns, action, military. So I picked 3 based on guns, 2 based on military, and then one of them I actually knew the artist and animator who was the director. Oh, I don't know him, but it's this guy named Robert Valet. He did this animation. He did a Kickstarter like 4 or 5 years ago. It was called something like Pear Cider and Cigarettes. Anyway, I don't remember if I backed it or not, but I remember I was following the campaign, and I used to be an animator. I was a 3D animator, so I was following him for a while, and then kind of fell off. So if you ever watched Pear Cider and Cigarettes, or whatever the correct name is, please let me know how it was. But I had seen his name connected to this project, so I picked his. So I'm going to review them in order of how I watched. The first one was called Suits, and Suits is about a bunch of farmers in mech suits protecting their crops from aliens. And that might sound really, genre-y and boring, but they do it so well, because in like 15 minutes they're able to establish some archetypes. Yeah. So you got the big friendly farmer, you got the skinny redneck, you got their wives, and you got the old fat lady, and then they all got their mech suits. They pretty much set up the world really quickly. And the art style, it's the one in the thumbnail here. It's really fun. If you probably like, what is it? Not Fortnite, Team Fortress, or Star Trek Clone Wars, the 3D version of it. It reminded me of stuff like this. This is stuff that when I was into animation, that's what I liked. Really animated, extreme, pushed designs, 3D models, animation style. So it's really, really good. It has a little twist, but it was just kind of like, oh, they think they're being invaded, but they're actually the invaders. But it wasn't like, oh, you're supposed to hate them, because they really established well, like them. I gotta say, going with progressive stack, I was actually shocked that there were two white men with southern accents that were never portrayed in a negative light. One has a very heroic sacrifice death, and he's lauded for it by everyone. And the main character has a wife who she's vaguely ethnic. You can't really tell which ethnicity, but they don't really make a big deal. It's an interracial couple. The two white leads, are never shown to be racist or stupid or anything negative. I was kind of shocked. It was just some good animation, some good action, some broad strokes, but characters you could actually like, and it was just fantastic. So the next one, so I like that, like on a pure like entertainment, visually appealing. I like the characters, cool stuff. Suits was an A, Then I watched the one directed by Robert Valle, and it's called Zima Blue. And oh my gosh, this thing is a freaking masterpiece. All I can say is, just stop the video right now, go watch it, and then come back. Okay, you're back. So, fair warning. So, Zima Blue is about this artist who I didn't catch his name. Let's just call him Zima Blue. I think that might have been his name. And there's a journalist. She's going to his island. It looks like it's the future, like 300 years in the future. So she's going out there, and she's either writing her article or just narrating the story. And there's this guy named Zima Blue, and he used to do kind of like regular portrait art, and then he started like wanting to go for something bigger but also deeper. So he started doing cosmic portraits, and I don't think they showed. I couldn't tell if this was on Earth or another planet. They talk about other planets. So there's interstellar space travel. So he starts doing these cosmic murals, and they're very, very big. They're like a jumbotron. They start big and then they get ridiculous. They start like the size of a jumbotron, like at a stadium. And what he does is he puts this little square of a color called Zima Blue in the middle. And the square, they show multiple different exhibits, and the square gets bigger and bigger until it's the entire canvas. And then the canvas gets bigger and bigger and bigger till it's ridiculous. It's the size of like 10 skyscrapers. And then he starts doing these, planetary exhibits. Like he'll find an asteroid belt and spray paint all the rocks in the asteroid belt Zima Blue. And then he kind of disappears for a while, and then he's called he calls a journalist to interview him. And she goes and meets him, and they show him in a couple of scenes earlier. He's I don't know, English. I don't remember his accent. I think it was English. He looks like a black guy from England. And then you see him, and he's like this Zima Blue cyborg. And it's kind of shocking, because what it looks like he's done a complete, you see Ghost in the Shell. There's like the partials. He's done the full, and the woman's shocked, and it's very shocking. And then he starts telling this story about a woman. Now, the original, human of this guy Zima Blue was like a black guy, and then you see this black woman. They do a zoom in, and it looks to be the Bay Area, California. It's somewhere. I couldn't pin it down. Because I actually rewound it twice to watch it. They zoom in. It's the Bay Area. It looks to be somewhere around Redwood City, or there's this city right above it that's not even that nice. It looks kind of like... So she's an inventor, and she invents robots. And she likes all her robots, but for some odd reason, the one she likes the most is the one that cleans the pool. So she upgrades it and upgrades it and upgrades it till it gets AI, and then it gets sentience. And then she passes on, and over 100, 200 years, it gets passed on from person to person. It gets upgraded over and over and over. And then you realize that the artist, this guy named Zima Blue, he started as that pool cleaning robot. I gotta say, this might be the best sci-fi story I've ever heard in my life. So then he's having this big exhibit. It's at his island, and he's building this pool. So you're like, okay, so he came from this pool. What is he gonna do? So we got this whole crowd. There's a whole crowd of hoity-toity rich people, and then it seems to be being broadcast all over the universe. So he goes into the pool. He starts swimming, and then his cyborg body starts disassembling, and you hear his voiceover, and he's talking about how he's become famous, he's become lauded, he's become rich, but he realizes his ultimate happiness was when he had a pure and simple goal: clean the pool however he saw fit. That's why the inventor first gave the pool cleaning robot sentience, because she wanted the robot to be able to decide how to clean the pool best. So he reduces himself just to kind of his second or third form: pool cleaning robot that has AI and some limited sentience, and it can basically troubleshoot how it wants to clean the pool. And it's very, very shocking, because you're seeing it go from human. You've seen him, what you assume to be human. You saw him in a cyborg body, and then you see him effectively killing himself. But is he? Because he's still him. He simply evolved and then decided that a earlier, simpler version of him was more pure and more happy. And it was like, it made me think like deep thoughts about my life. It was just brilliant. And then I just saw there's two trash Shaggy Dog stories. They look like cutscenes from modern, first-person shooters, Battlefield, whatever. One is a Shaggy Dog story. It's like, what if there were werewolves in Afghanistan? They were Marines. Well, then they'd be Marines, and they'd fight other werewolves. So that's pretty much it. The thing I did like about it is that the uniforms and the weapons, and especially the FOB, forward operating base, and then they show a COP later, a combat outpost, were actually pretty realistic. The storytelling was kind of generic. Like, they start using soldier and Marine interchangeably. There's no real respect to rank. And also just the main thing, like, all the Marines hated these two werewolf Marines, and they knew they were werewolves. Like, they would go out on patrols in bare feet and no helmet. They would sniff around, they could spot things, and they would use their senses and their speed and toughness and ability to regenerate and all that type of stuff. And all the Marines just hated them. I go, no. All the Marines would love them. Maybe like a super, super religious Marine who would think they were demons would not like them. But all these guys would do all day long is save lives. So the Marines were portrayed pretty negatively, and also not even just negatively, like in a way that just didn't make sense. Then the other story I picked was about it was Russians in World War II, and it was basically the same thing, except for the Russians weren't portrayed negatively. In World War I, there was a Russian guy who did a hex, and he tried to summon some demons, but then they turned against him, and it's 20 years later, and these guys fight demons, and they all die. That's the end. That's the joke. Like, that's why I hate Shaggy Dog Stories. It's just like, there's no point to them. They're worthless. But the first two, like I said, the first one called Suits was real good, solid entertainment. Let's call it a BB+. That one called Zima Blue was a freaking masterpiece, A+. And then the other one, I don't even consider Shaggy Dog Stories because they're just worthless. It's like, do you remember when you're young, or you got a young sibling, and they first start trying to tell jokes, but they don't understand what makes a joke funny? They're like, why did the clown cross the road? And you're like, why? 'Cause he was a turtle. And then they start laughing like idiots because they don't understand that even jokes have to have internal logic. That's the thing about Shaggy Dog Stories. It's like, there's no point. It's like a story told by someone who doesn't understand how stories work. They're like, the twist doesn't come at the beginning. Okay? If you do a whole story and there's one Marine who everyone's like nervous about, but they're not sure why, and then at the end you show that he's a werewolf, that's not really a Shaggy Dog story. I mean, it could be, but it isn't. But if you do the twist right at the beginning, there's nowhere to go. But so anyway, overall, like I said, I still hate anthologies. But usually in most anthologies there will be at least a couple good stories. In this one, there was at least one masterpiece. I mean, I don't know what a Netflix can qualify. No, they can qualify for Oscars, right? I think I read that Spielberg was trying to fight against that, and then he quit because I think he realized everyone was like, "Sit down, old man." But honestly, in the animation category, I can see that one definitely being qualified for an Oscar or Emmy or however they do it. But I would say I'm not gonna say go check it out. Anthologies are usually trash. I'm hearing terrible things about this Twilight Zone new series on CBS All Access, which it would have been nice if it was good because I'm paying for the damn thing for one show. For people who've been keep recommending things that are on Hulu, it's like, I'm not paying for a fourth streaming service. I just remembered I'm a business owner and this is a business and that's a tax-deductible expense. So yes, I will be getting a Hulu membership and I'll be checking out all the Hulu shows like Legion and the Orville and all that type of stuff. So anyway, so what I would be saying is just go watch Suits and go watch Zima Blue and just skip the rest. Although I am very much willing to listen to you if you've seen other episodes in that series and they're good. Yeah, I'll go check it out. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll have another review up tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.